And that is like one of the things about, you know, being the chip leader and stuff. If players are going to let you steal, then you should be stealing. Of course, you don't have to be the big stack for that. It's just that it's a lot more likely they're going to let you get away with it when you are the big stack than, you know, if you're a shorter stack. But anytime the players are going to let you, you should be stealing. The hard part is knowing when they're going to let you. So we have some interesting stack dynamics here. Jay is in the less than 15 big blind. It's a little more than I would want to have for just an open shove, but it's almost not enough. You know, if I three bet shove, it's like the player might feel pot stuck. You know, they might feel like that's too, I'm getting too good at pot odds to fold. So you're kind of in an awkward spot there with, and pretty much the same thing for John. Like too many chips to just open shove intelligently. So 30 more to Craig. I mean, this is where you got to be careful thinking about pot odds. You know, if you start thinking like, oh, it's 30, you know, to you know, I'm getting like over 3 to 1, you know, but the problem with that is that it's not just the pot odds, it's also the implied odds. In other words, what can I win and what can I lose, or we call that reverse implied odds. What, you know, so if you defend your big blind out of position like this with a really bad hand, the problem isn't so much that, like, well, even though your hand sucks, you know, you were getting the right price, so to speak. But you know, when you look at the post-flop action, are you more likely to win chips or lose chips in the post-flop action? Because, you know, if you're out of position with a bad hand, a weak starting hand, and you're against an opponent who's a decent or better player, then it will often be that you're really not going to make money in the post-flop action. And so now you get what they call reverse implied odds. Greg's going to make the call. 59,000. And the call. Still heads up here. Let's see the turn card. So, three of diamonds. Greg's first bet. Thought that wasn't that likely to help anybody. And so I like PJ doing the C bet there no matter what. Craig is all in out of the 1 seat. Wow, now Craig says all in. Action's on PJ now in the 2 seat. And he just went all in into a 250k pot against a player that has like 400,000 chips or so. So it's an oversized bet. You know, it's interesting, like you just check call and then the 3 comes. It's like, well, you don't expect the 3 to have helped his hand ever. So did he like call you because he flopped like, you know, a pair, like he has a 10 or an 8? He just called like, oh, let's wait for a safe card. It's not an ace, a king, a queen, a card that's likely to have hit you as the pre-flop raiser. Now that it's a safe turn, I'm shoving in. Could be that kind of thought process. There's a small chance it hit him. He could have just check called there with pocket 3s. But if I had that strong of a hand, I don't think I would shove here, because you're giving PJ such a great chance to fold here. I mean, if PJ just even has a really good starting hand like ace-king, he certainly might fold it, and in many cases should fold it. You know, so it's like, why give him a chance to get away from a hand like that? Whereas if you check to him on the turn, he might bet again, you know, or certainly you might get him to put chips in on the river if you check the turn. So you wouldn't expect Craig to have a set or anything that strong. PJ's going to fold and Craig's going to take down the pot. Yeah, I'm really curious what Craig had there. I mean, you know, it just feels like it almost has to be a bluff, you know, or it's a one pair value bet. You know, he paired one of those cards, the 10, the 8, maybe even just the 5. You know, so it's it'll be an interesting hand to see when we get to the televised version. And to be honest, when this goes on YouTube, I don't know if they'll be able to add the whole cards to that or not. You know, I don't know. I'm sure they would be able to if they really, really wanted to. I don't know if they will be adding the whole card information. I almost hope not, because boy, a lot of my analysis could really be horrible since I don't get to see the cards and I'm talking about what they might have. You know, I might be saying, oh, you should have this, you should have that, and then they'll have something completely different and I'll look like an idiot. Oh well, won't be the first time.
Ryan folds over to John in the 9 seats. John folds as well. Over to Craig now in the small blind.
So folded to Craig in the blind. I think all options are in play here.
Total bet by Craig. 52,000. Actions over to PJ in the big blind.
Well, this is a good spot to shove with almost anything. You have less than 10 times his bet. His range is super wide, but you have plenty of chips that he's not going to just call off with a weak hand.
And PJ's going to make the call. 52,000 and a call.
To be honest, I kind of like shoving there for PJ almost, unless he has like unless he's trapping with a huge hand like aces or kings or something.
Flop is 9 of diamonds, 8 of clubs, jack of clubs. Craig is going to be first back here on the flop.
I'd be surprised if Craig doesn't bet this.
Craig's going to bet 50,000.
Boy, he feels strong. Craig feels so strong, man. He hit that flop hard. I think he really has something big there. At a minimum, he has like 2 overs and a flush draw, I think.
Oh, wow.
He's showing it. Oh,
PJ folds. Craig's going to win the pot. And so it's Queen of clubs, 10 of clubs.
like the absolute best hand anyone could ask for on that flop. He flopped the nuts with the straight flush draw. I mean, if you literally, you see that flop and you said, what 2 cards do I most want? It's exactly those 2. So, hey, my read was right. I thought Craig was super strong. And he was as strong as he could be. How did I not make this final table, darn it?
Nasty.
Well, I know why, because it didn't matter if I read them perfectly. I never had the best hand. Like, if you never have the best hand and they're not going to fold, you can't win. You can just lose less. And that's about what I did for 2 days, was I lost less until I got eliminated.
Okay.
And you got Craig on the button. So this is where Ryan should be a little bit tighter, because Craig is going to be inclined to at least call, if not 3-bet, a lot of hands. So if you're Ryan, you really do not want to be coming in light when Craig has the button here in the chip lead.
Tom's going to make the call, 54,000.
Well, I think Tom has relaxed a lot. I think we're going to see a lot more action from Tom moving forward. I mean, and you should always see more action from everyone. You've gone from 9-handed to 6-handed. Yeah, so everyone should be more active, relatively speaking. But I think also in the case of Tom, I think he might have been a little nervous, a little tense. You know, first TV final table. You know, and I think he's loosened up now and is more relaxed, more comfortable. So I think we're going to see more of, you know, his typical game, rather than maybe he might have been playing extra tight before. He might have just been getting dealt lots of bad hands, of course.
And Tom's going to make the call. 68,000 and a call. Still heads up here. Let's see the turn card. Turn card is the Jack of Hearts. Tom the first act. Checks over Ryan.
A lot of Tom's range here should be like one big club, and he has the draw, or he has an ace with a decent kicker and no club, and so he is just, you know, going to try to, you know, call down, induce bluffs, you know, or lose less if he's beat. So that should be a big part of Tom's range right now.
Tom folds, and Ryan is going to win the pot.
That's it.
Under 27 minutes left at this level. Feel free to now remaining 12,000, 24,000 on the black. Started the tournament with 189 players, down to our final six. Ryan's going to be first actor, he's under the gun.
Okay.
Not sure what those sounds are, but they're not me. Something I'm in the kind of the back bowels here, behind this. What do they call this? The bottleneck blues bar or something like that.
Action pulled around. Craig into one seat.
Here at the Star Casino in Vicksburg. I'm your host, Greg Fossilman Raymer. You can follow me on Twitter at Fossilman. You can go to my website, fossilmanpoker.com.
53,000. 53,000 is the race by Craig. Action's on PJ.
I do lots of poker training seminars. If you want one in your room, talk to your local poker room manager and suggest that they book me to come teach one of my seminars at your room.
PJ's going to make the call. 53,000. Tom Folds over to Jay in the big blind.
To be honest, it could just be you and a group of friends that want to bring me out, come to your house and teach the whole group of you. If there's enough of you, we can arrange and make that happen as well. And we can focus the seminar on no-limit tournament strategy, on no-limit cash games, on limit cash games, on stud, draw, whatever you like. I do all of it. I mean, I consider myself a very good no-limit hold'em player, but to be honest, on relative terms, it's my worst game. Compared to all the other players, I'm probably much better at the draw games and the stud games. But of course, a lot of that has to do with the fact that, the vast majority of poker players in the world today, no limit hold'em is their main game, and in many cases their only game. I mean, like looking at Craig Casino right now, tremendous success here on the Heartland Poker Tour and in other poker tournaments. And yet, this is the only game he plays. He only plays no limit hold'em. He does not play limit. As far as I know, he doesn't play Omaha, doesn't play stud. So obviously when you got so many players like that out there that, might be really good to, world class at no limit hold'em, and they don't even play the other games. On relative terms, I'm obviously going to be a lot better at the stud games, the draw games, and so on. But, really at this point, with over a third of the chips, I got to give Craig Casino, at least 50, if not 60% chance of taking down his third title here.
Craig shows ace king.
Plus, he's getting good cards, as well. And if he's not getting good cards, then he's hitting the flop with the not as great cards. So, he's been running well above average so far, obviously. It's not lucky when ace-queen beats king-queen. Obviously, you were a 3-1 favorite. But it's unbelievably lucky to have two queens come on the board when you have ace-queen against king-queen. The fact that the board ran out in a way that pretty much guarantees you, full action on your hand. That's the lucky part. And that's the kind of luck that a lot of players kind of, ignore. They're like, well, I wasn't lucky. I had ace-queen. He had king-queen. There's no luck in that. He'd be lucky if he beat me. I'm like, well, that's true. But you were lucky. The flop could have come, ace, deuce, deuce, and now you win very few chips from the king-queen. Things like that, where, yeah, still there was no luck involved. You had the best hand and you won. But, you weren't so lucky to win a lot more. So there's, always a lot of luck involved in the short term, and very little luck in the long term. So Craig has just limped in. That's very unusual.
They make call options. He ran in the big blind.
Very surprising. I don't know if Craig is trying to trap here with like aces or kings. You know, since he's got Ryan, the other, you know, the next biggest stack and the big blind. Or if it's more of a, you know, like I want to see a cheap flop with, you know, like pocket threes and try to flop a set against this other big
And
stack.
Ryan's gonna check his option.
You know, like you can imagine Ryan having a hand, you know, like
See the flop?
Jack 4, and you have pocket threes, and now you're just hoping to get super lucky with that Jack 4 3, and now you can get it all in, and
This king of clubs, queen of spades, and jack
You
of
know.
clubs. He's gonna be first hand
so
in the fourth seat.
it could be that he has a hand where he just wants to see the flop cheaply. Could be a trap. Could be a mistake.
Checks over to Ryan.
So Ryan looking to bet here. I mean, you don't normally expect him to have a monster to bet in this spot, but you don't expect him to really be bluffing either.
Ryan's gonna bet out. 80,000 is the bet by Ryan. Craig makes the collections back to Jay. Jay
Big
folds.
bet for the pot.
And we're gonna be heads up to the turn. 80,000 and a call.
You expect Ryan to have like a pair, like a king or a queen at this point.
Spades. Ryan's gonna be first hand.
Well, that's a dramatic card because now someone could be having a hand like Jack 10 and they just got there. You know, or Queen 10 or King 10 even. I mean, Ryan could have just been bluffing the flop with just 10 deuce. He had the open end straight draw and he just made that hand. Doesn't seem too likely anyone here could have ace 10. I wouldn't think Craig would limp with it. And don't know that Ryan would necessarily lead with it
35, yes.
on the flop. Though I would like, if he had ace 10, I like him leading out on the flop.
Craig in the one seat. 135,000 is the bet.
It's looking like a fold. Craig's body language makes me think he's going to lay it down here. He doesn't want to, but it feels to me like he's going to. Which is a horrible read whether I'm right or wrong. Because, I mean, if I'm right, it's like, well, I know the guy's going to fold after you've made the bet. It's like, so what?
Gonna make the call.
And then if I'm wrong, then I'm just wrong, so I look stupid.
So let's up here, let's see the river card.
So it's kind of a bad read to make, no matter whether I'm right or wrong.
Clubs, Ryan's first hand.
Well, that definitely could change everything. I mean, the nuts of ace 10 just became, you know, marginal. Ryan betting again. So, I mean, if Ryan flopped, a pair, if he flopped a straight, if he flopped a draw and he made the straight on the turn, I don't expect him really to bet those hands right now. So he's either bluffing again, and this is a triple barrel bluff, or he was bluffing the straight, the flush draw the whole way and got there. Now, he could have also had like a queen and another club. Or he could have had two clubs, like he could have had 10-7 of clubs, and he turned the straight and now rivered the flush.
Is the bet by Ryan. She's over Craig.
You know, so it's 100% possible right now that Ryan has a flush or he has total air. He could easily have either one. And Craig putting a call together, it looks like.
Hey, Craig's gonna make the call. Let's see a winner.
So what did Ryan make it, or did he be bluffing the whole way?
Ryan shows queen of clubs, 10 of clubs for the flush.
Okay.
And he's going to win the pot. Pretty good flop.
So, yeah, he had a great hand for the flop, and he hit a great turn and a better river, and I'm curious, what Craig had to call down with. I wonder if Craig was trapping the whole time and had, like, aces or kings, Like, did he flop top set and get a little bit unlucky? Or did he, make a really bad call down? Could have been a spot where he never was supposed to fold.
I was sitting here saying, low red card.
I was just hoping it wasn't like the ace 3 clubs in here. Just like that thing was nuts. Like I got no out. Or one out.
Well, Craig doesn't seem upset, and that's the right attitude. Craig just lost, a whole lot of chips, like over 500,000 chips. But, what he should be doing is looking down at his stack, and he should be saying, like, hey, I still have over 1 million chips. I started this final table with 400,000. It's kind of like, what if I'd been treading water all this way and I just doubled up to get to this, like, 1.2 million? How would I feel if I'm Craig and I just doubled up to 1.2 million? It's like, I'd feel great. I would feel like, hey, look at that, 1.2 million. This is my tournament. I'm going to win this. So the fact that he just lost a huge pot to get to 1.2 million really doesn't change it. He still should be very happy with his situation, and he should be playing with a positive attitude.
24,000 is our big blind.
Now, opening here against John, given John's stack size, I would just
Ryan's
be...
gonna make the call out of the small blind option to John in the big blind.
Raise.
John announces raise.
If I'm John, if I'm going to raise, I'm going to go all in.
The total bet of 75,000.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of that one. He's got like 350 or something. It looks like maybe a little less. Should be less actually. I don't think he's won a hand, and he had like 374 when we came back from break, so he should have lost a bit.
Ryan's gonna make the call. 75,000 and the call.
Well, this is kind of strange. I'm probably not a fan of how either of these hands are played right now.
Bluff is deuce of diamonds, eight of spades, three of hearts. Ryan's first stack to the 5 seed.
I think he's going to go all in. It's like 168 in the pot, and can only be like 275 for John's stack. John's pretty sticky once he comes in. He doesn't play a lot of hands,
Made the call. Let's
but
see the
yeah,
hands, guys.
once John enters the pot, he doesn't seem to like to fold.
Uh-oh, same hand as last time. Oh. Same hand. Called me with the gutter. Same flop.
All right, Ryan does show ace of clubs,
Good luck,
five of
gentlemen.
clubs.
Yeah, good luck.
John shows king of hearts, a jack of spades.
I don't like how either of those hands were played at all. I think Ryan should have just open shoved pre-flop.
All right, Ryan's currently
And
in the
if
lead
John
here
wakes up
ace
with a
high.
better hand
Ryan
than
has
ace
of clubs,
high,
five of clubs. John
you know,
has the
it's
king
just
of
hard
hearts,
for him
jack
to
of
do that.
spades. Let's see the turn card.
And if he calls you here with King Jack, you know, that's no big deal.
Turn card is a 7 of spades.
And then I don't like John
Ryan's
calling.
still in the lead.
I mean, it's like, what does he beat? He only beats
Ryan's
total
still in the lead
stupid
with
bluffs
his ace high. John's
with
gonna
King
need to
high.
see a king or a jack, or he's going to leave us in 6th place. Let's see the river card. The river card is the 8 of clubs. John's going to leave us in 6th place. Let's give John a round of applause.
So Ryan gets a surprise win there. I'm sure when he got called so quickly, he never expected to be in the lead. And instead, he was the favorite and just had to fade the 6 outs. Great result for John, but I think that would be the lesson I would give to John if he's watching this video. It's great that you are
Nice hand, sir.
pre-flop, you know, for
busting him out yesterday,
good
not
starting
you.
hands. But the fact that you've waited
share.
a long time doesn't mean you now should never fold after the flop. And that would definitely, I saw that before, earlier in the tournament, like on day 1 and stuff, where John would be too sticky with
I was just trying
hands
to make
once he
some room
got
at this end of
involved.
the table.
Sometimes being sticky is a good thing, but you know, it's got to be
Down to our final
balanced.
5 players. John did leave us in 6th place, just over 8,000. 5th place today is going to be just over 9,700. First place, just over 43,000. The HPT main event bracelet. $3,600 championship package. Just over 14 minutes left, 3,080. Roll up 24. Go ahead and deal.
As Jeremy say, 8,000 for John. Congratulations, sir. Almost 9,800 for the next person out, and then it goes up to almost 13,000, almost 18,000,
All right, that's one
almost
blind here,
27,000, and 43,500.
We have one big blind in this hand.
So we're now getting some, more noteworthy pay
It's going to
jumps.
be all in out of the 4 seed. Action's now on Ryan in the 5 seed.
And Jay says, screw the pay jumps, I'm all in.
Ryan folds over Craig now in the 1 seat. Jay is all in out of the 4 seat. Craig folds and Jay is going to win the pot.
And it works, and that's really a big lesson there.
King of diamonds.
What a hand.
And if you're going to show a hand, that's a great spot. Like, hey, I've been super tight, and now I shove, and now look, I'm not like just
10-5
making a
was
move here
looking
'cause
like
I'm desperate. I
potential.
really have a hand. And, he shoves again, in the next few hands, that's going to help him sell that image that, like, hey, I've got a good hand, so you better be careful if you want to call.
Who had the ace king? Nice hand. I missed it.
5 players remaining here. HPT main event final table. Dead button here in the 9 seat.
Did have a king, but I had a 4 to go with it.
Dead button in the 9
Two
seat.
flush draw.
Tom, you're going to be first
That's
act
what
in
I'm
the 3
thinking.
seat.
Maybe this
The hand's up.
John's out. Maybe just shift a little.
watch lasted for like 3 hands, you know? When you try to get down there.
Right.
Action's pulled around to Ryan in the
I
5
think I
second.
did. I think I did get a king 10 offsuit in the under the gun.
And we got Ryan here on the button effectively.
Action's around to Craig in the
Just
small
put it
blind.
in.
You don't see the button because it's technically a dead button over in the 9 seat where John had been sitting. But that makes it basically Brian's button.
We'll get there. It's coming.
And now,
Craig's gonna make the call. Option to PJ in the
awkward
big
stack
blind.
size for PJ
PJ's gonna check his
here.
option.
He's got like maybe a little under 400,000. He's got
See the flop here. Let's see the flop.
like 16 blinds. It's like it's too big to just shove for your first move,
3 clubs.
and therefore I wouldn't want Craig to just open shove with many hands. But similarly,
Get
if
about out
you
55,000.
know, it's like if you're Craig, you don't want to just open raise to like 2 or 3x, and then when he shoves you,
700.
it's enough to make you fold.
Just sad I didn't raise my deuce 3.
So, not knowing Craig's hand, I like the way he played
Got
it because there's
squirrely
lots of
on this
hands I
side.
would play that way. Where I'm just going to call, and then I'm going to bet most flops because
What's the small
PJ
blind
is
again?
going to have missed most flops and he'll fold most of the time.
12 and
Because
20
now that we've
boards.
seen a flop, and even if PJ had like a fairly good hand, like let's say he had King 10, and it's a hand he would have called with if you had just shoved pre-flop. Well, now that that flop came, you know, like 2-3-8 or whatever, or no, it was a 10 high flop, but pretend the flop came 2-3-8. Now does he really want to call the
Taking
rest
all
of his
donations?
chips, you know? Or does he want to call here with just King high overcard? You know, so he might be inclined to fold at that point anyways with hands that he might have called with pre. So you've got a lot more leverage to get him to fold. You know, so basically it's kind of a pre-flop bluff, you know, delayed in some sense
It's
almost.
gonna be first act here in the 4 seat. You fold. Over to Ryan in the 5 seat.
Yeah, I don't feel I worded that one very well for you, so I hope it was comprehensible, but it is. But, you know, for 15 blind, there's also a lot of hands that you could do
Folds as well. Action's
where
over
Craig
in the
could
1
have
seat.
shoved,
Blind battle.
or PJ could have shoved, you know, and it's just like what we call unexploitable. I mean, for example, let's say Craig had Queen 10 suited in the small blind that hand.
PJ's gonna raise.
If he were to shove all in
7,000.
and turn his hand face up
Action's on Tom in the 3 seat. He
to
makes
let
the call.
PJ make a perfect decision,
7,000 and a call.
Craig is going to make money because PJ is only going to have a better hand about 1/3 of the time. So he's going to fold 2 out of 3 times basically now that he sees Craig has Queen 10.
Flop, let's see the flop.
But then when he calls all in like that, he isn't that big of a favorite.
4 clubs, ace of spades.
So it turns out Craig's going to make money on average. You know, in terms of the chip count, he's going to, you know, come out ahead on average, even with a hand as weak as Queen 10 suited.
Let's see the turn card.
And that would be true for even his over 20 big blinds.
PJ's gonna be first act.
So at 14, 15 big blinds, he could have done that,
Checks over Tom. Tom
you know,
checks as well.
with even weaker
Players
hands.
check the turn. Let's see the river card. River card is the king of spades.
So we had a raise from PJ pre-flop, and now it's just been checked down. Very, very unusual here. That I mean, you put PJ at this point like on a pocket pair that didn't like the ace. You know, but it could be a good hand. It could be even queens or jacks.
Tom's gonna bet out 60,000.
You know,
60,000.
Tom just
Check,
checking
PJ.
behind. You don't expect Tom to have a flush here, really. You'd think he might have been motivated to semi-bluff it either on the flop or the turn. But he certainly could have the king. Tom could have, you know, king, queen, king, jack, king 10, all kind, you know, king X,
You got a
anything.
pair?
And you, PJ, asking, do you have a pair?
Not a bad guy.
You know, I mean, if PJ doesn't have a pair, if he has like a, you know, queen high, jack high hand, I mean, I don't know why he didn't c-bet the flop. That's the reason you c-bet, you know, is because you can get this guy to fold. Like if you had jack 10 on the flop and you're PJ, if you bet the flop, you might get him to fold a hand like king 10. And now he's folding way the best hand. So unless PJ has a fairly, you know, unless he has queens, jacks, or tens, I do not like his flop and turn checks. I don't think. I think he would have just called one of those hands by now. So I don't think he has one of those.
PJ's gonna fold and
Nice.
Tom is gonna take down the
Show
pot.
pair, Tom.
And that's the thing too. Is I mean, like even if you have only like
Think
queen
about
or
it,
jack
answer
high,
the and,
there's a chance it was the best hand, and that
Awesome.
now that you've checked 3 times, Tom has finally decided, like, man, I guess I got to try to bluff at this here with my, maybe he called pre-flop with 5-6, and he knows he isn't going to win if he checks the river, and he's thought, well, you've checked 3 times. I mean, I guess you're pretty darn weak. I should try to steal this, give myself a chance to win here with 6 high, 7 high, whatever.
probably have my little flush beat.
So that's the problem. With not keeping or maintaining your aggression when you're the pre-flop raiser, is that once you back down, now you never can be sure. Like, is this other guy betting
For Ryan's first action.
because I showed weakness, or is he betting, because he has something?
Ryan folds over to Craig now in the 1 seat. Craig folds, actions on PJ, he's on the button.
Well, Ryan apparently has decided not to
PJ folds, actions on Tom in the small blind.
take his chip lead and try to run over the table, and that's not necessarily a bad thing at all. Like I mentioned earlier,
That's
Gonna
good.
make
Watch,
the call.
you do
Watch
not
him
try to
work.
run over the table unless they're going to let you run them over.
it look good.
And with Craig immediately behind him, Ryan cannot correctly assume that he can run this table over. Now, if Ryan were to win a huge pot and knock out Craig,
Ace of hearts, 9 of diamonds, 4
then
diamonds. Tom
I
is
think
first
he might be able to run this table over. But Craig doesn't let you run him over, whether he's short, medium, or big stack.
Tom, actions over to Jed.
So you can beat Craig, but you can't run him over. You're not going to just bluff him to death. You're not going to slowly grind him down. That ain't going to happen. So I think Ryan knows that, and so
Bring on these both cards and beat you.
he's not entering the pot with marginal hands, which I think is
Don't
probably
do
correct.
that.
Folds and Tom in the 3 seat, it's gonna win the pot.
We'll definitely need both cards to beat you.
So that's gonna count then.
Before the lights made it hot, now it's cold.
Hey, you got all the HPT gear, don't you?
Well, they're all crowded down on this end of the table.
They give that to
It
you?
interchanges.
No.
Let me see that for a second.
It's the patch that keeps on giving.
There you
Oh,
go.
it's a lucky patch.
You can have it. Give me another one.
Finally gave me
Surprised we all don't have one.
finally gave me
I know. How do you not give your final table players a hat or something?
patches, you know,
Patch, a hat, a t-shirt,
okay.
Bunch of money.
something.
Someone's complaining give us free hats and
I
T-shirts.
don't think they realize that.
Jeremy says, we're going to give you a bunch of money.
Just take it off the camera, guys. I don't care.
So no. I mean, it was our money.
Stick it on your head, it'll show up more.
Yeah.
It's not like it's corporate money being added to the prize pool.
put it on my,
That doesn't
There you
matter
go.
at all.
put it on my
It didn't
card.
work that way, of course. I mean, there's no poker tour that could afford to put up the prize
Over
money.
here. Pallets.
It's okay to fold, Chris.
This isn't like the
always
NFL where
gotta
we
mess
get
them
paid
up.
billions of dollars for the broadcast rights.
Craig's gonna raise
Closest I can
255,000.
get to a full.
It's kind of surprising though, because when I look at
Oh, I guess I need to wake up to something over here.
like a network like ESPN, and they do things like these, strongman and lumberjack and shows like that they do, as kind of filler on weekdays and whatnot. I mean, I doubt. I'm wondering, how does that? How do
Craig
I
says
mean?
call, shows pocket queens, PJ shows. King of diamonds, jack of diamonds.
Well, PJ just ran into a tough spot there. I mean, I like his shove with King Jack.
Alright,
Craig
does have the-
has a wide range. He's opening with lots and lots of hands. King Jack is a good hand, but more importantly, if I'm PJ, I have enough chips that Craig is going to
Craig has
fold,
queen of spades,
fairly often.
queen of hearts. PJ
And when he
has
doesn't
king of diamonds,
fold,
jack
my
of
hand
diamonds.
has equity. And
Craig's currently in the lead.
even here, PJ has
no, I
over
like yours.
30% equity. So he's going to get lucky here, reasonably often.
Yes, going on
He's
over
obviously an
there.
underdog, but,
Alright,
it's
let's see the flop.
not like he's only going to win 5-10% of the time. He's going to win, more like 35% of the time.
Jack of hearts, 6 of hearts, deuce of spades. PJ does pair his jack, but Craig's still in the lead.
Goes from
Pocket queens.
3 outs to 5
Turn
outs.
card.
King of Hearts would be an exciting turn card.
Turn
Oh.
Jack of clubs.
That's bingo, bro.
So that's
too
not an
exciting.
exciting one. That's not a sweaty card.
Queen.
That's
Who-
2
anyone
outs
fold the
for
queen?
Craig, you know. So King of Hearts.
They just have
If
three
PJ's going to take
jacks
the lead, I
and
would have
lead.
given him the King of Hearts, but it doesn't work that way.
Is risk
Don't
or is
do
he
this
gonna
to me,
need
Philip.
fade one of the remaining queens.
Queen would be painful though for him.
Let's see the river card.
Nice one.
Thank you.
Six of diamonds is the river card, and PJ's going to double up. Let's get a count.
670,000.
You're gonna fib. You should just make it like, oh, 1
Well,
million.
now PJ's
1 million.
fortunes are turning around dramatically. I mean, looks like he started the final table with 1.3 million. And even with that double up, he's still, you know, down like half of his starting stack. But
305,000 is what PJ was owing.
Did he pull back his 55?
but you know,
Yeah, I did.
Okay,
and that's the reason that I like that shove. I mean, not just because he sucked out, but I just mean,
305,000 is what
you
PJ
know,
was
he
owing.
ran
Tournament
into a
doesn't want
premium
him out.
hand. I mean, one of the best couple of starting hands available, and yet he still was going to win like 35% of the time. And all those other hands that Craig might have raised with, you know, where Craig could have had, you know,
Gonna make the TV show.
something like Queen Jack
probably cut
instead.
that one out.
Now he's probably going to fold. And if he doesn't fold Queen Jack, even better.
No, no, keep it. I'm gonna throw
You
it
know,
to
and
the
he
crowd
tells you
and
with
try.
pocket tens, pocket nines, pocket
No.
eights. You know, you're 50-50 almost.
I haven't seen it. I haven't seen an HPT
You know,
with
so
this
again,
much
when
action.
you're got a loose, aggressive player,
Win them all.
but one who's a good player,
Over 2 minutes left at this time.
you know, and who's going to fold hands that are silly to call with.
Begging to differ
That's the
when we
perfect
first
spot
started.
for you to
We were
shove
winning
when you have that stack size. You know, so when you have like, you know, 12 to 20 blinds in that ballpark, you know, up to,
now you
even
get
up to
the big
25 or more. If the first raise is an opponent
I know.
who's loose, aggressive, and is potentially raising with a wide range, but he's not silly,
Fold around to J on the button.
and he will fold, you know, the 7-8 suited and the ace-4 suited and stuff like that,
J's all in out of the
10
4
on the
seat.
turn.
you know, then it's a great spot to shove.
This is 2 Ryan in the small blind.
So that looks like
Leave me alone.
250 or so.
Power. Ryan folds over Craig in the 1 seat.
Plenty of chips to make these guys fold if they don't have
J's gonna win
something.
5.
Ace king again.
So he has like only like
Oh,
10
is
big
that all?
blinds.
Oh.
He shows the ace again. He's like,
It
in
is,
other words, I like it.
especially on
You
the
know,
river.
reinforce the image. Like, guys, I'm not just desperate and shoving any 2 cards on the button. I actually have something. You know, but now what you're going to want to do at some point, you know, is when you get a
See,
good situation
now-
like that where it folds to
When
jam
you
the
get all
button,
in with Craig,
like,
he's like, look,
yeah, maybe
I want
next
the
time he
fact
should be
that you put
shoving
that
with
thing
any
in
2
there.
cards because he figures they're that much more likely to fold because so far he's indicated that, like, hey, I'm not willing to make this shove without a legitimate
1
hand.
minute. 1 minute left at this level. 3,012, 24 still.
So normally speaking, I don't like showing your cards, but if you're going to show them, show a strong hand or at least one strong card in a spot where they might
Yeah,
be
yeah.
suspicious that you don't have
I don't even
anything.
have to look at them anymore.
sure there's a
And that way
massive
you're
way.
reinforcing a tight image and it's easier for you to get more folds next time.
Jay is all in out of the 4 seat. It's on Ryan.
Good luck,
Now he
sir.
has a lot more than 10 big blinds. You know, this,
Ryan folds over to Craig in the 1 seat.
well, not a lot more. He still only has like 12. So, I mean, I like this shove with any hand he's going to play. And again, like, he doesn't have to have a great hand here because I think his chances of getting everyone to fold are quite high.
Craig's asked for a count.
Good luck. No.
Let's see what we got
Both
exactly.
of you do. Both of you guys.
Is that?
That's 297 is what I have. That's a full 100, right? Yes, 297. 297. Jay's all in for 297,000. 297 is the total bet.
Double man.
Huh?
Double man.
Or get bust.
Make an inch. You don't know it.
I call.
Craig calls and PJ folds.
Craig isn't super confident. Shows a medium pair, it looks like.
What happened?
Looks like we're in a flip race situation.
Gotcha. Okay. Got it.
All right, Craig shows pocket sevens here. 7 of hearts, 7 of clubs. Jay has ace of clubs. 9 of hearts. Jay, you can move it out of the way.
Thanks for the
So
call.
Ace 9 for Jay.
Appreciate
Still
the
a
call.
perfectly
Can I tell
legitimate
him when I
hand.
fold it?
And one that
It was very
I like his
Folded to
shove.
9, 8-9.
Craig's call is, you know, marginal. I mean, you got a guy who's shoving for like 12 blinds. You're paying 11 to win
Hearts
like,
and
you know,
clubs.
14 and change.
Hearts, clubs.
So it's kind of like
All right, Craig's in the lead here with pocket 7. 7
you
of hearts, 7
don't
of clubs.
expect to be in great
Jay
shape with
has ace of
sevens.
clubs. 9 of hearts. His tournament
barely
life
over 10.
is at risk.
So
See the
it's
flop.
not a wrong call, but it's just marginal. It's just like, you know, me either way. You don't like
Ace
either
round two here.
decision.
5 of hearts. 4 spades. Ace of diamonds. Jay does pair his ace and is currently in the lead.
And huge favorite for Jay now.
See the turn card. Turn card is the 10 of clubs.
Couldn't even do a
No
6.
change. It's a 7 for
gotta
Craig,
call for
or
those.
Jay doubles up.
Jay is still in the lead with his pair of aces. Jay is going to need to fade one of the remaining 7s. Let's see the river card.
It is.
The river card is a 3 of spades.
Nice there, sir.
That 6 would make
And
it
Craig
real
says, I
nice.
wish I had deuces.
Easy now.
Could have made the wheel.
All right, pockets closed while we finish this hand up and then switch up to this.
Give me my patch.
Great news for Jay. He's going to get a double.
Convinced now, huh?
Face that off, baby.
Craig says, give me that lucky patch back.
Things haven't gone too well since you took that.
Literally,
I didn't take it. You give it to me.
Give him the patch.
You give it to me.
I didn't give it to you. You said, let me see that.
Yeah,
You
he took
give it
it.
to me.
It's gotta be
I
amazing.
said, let me have that patch.
I'm gonna
stole it.
use that one.
Well, I'll give it
Craig might
back.
be down to
I
only
give it
like a
back.
million or less now,
Anybody else want the
which
patch?
is slightly
I
below
might
average. We
do
got about
one that piece of
5.6,
that patch over
5.7 million chips.
Yeah, at least we got an interesting
So the
tournament
average
now.
stack here is like, you know, 1.1
Apparently
million or
it's the
so.
kryptonite here.
Well, it was
And,
real interesting.
Craig
to
might
me.
actually be below average, so yeah, it's been going very badly for him since the break.
Craig let Jay borrow his patch. He's asked for it back.
We just swapped. That's it.
This is this swap.
Switch back.
Yeah, it's just a little over a million for Craig, I think.
New line
Could
level
get
Ryan
Ryan.
is at
30,000 on the line. New line level.
over 2 million for
How
Ryan.
many total chips are in play?
15,000, 30,000.
5 million something.
5.6, 5.6, something like
At least we know
Like
it's not
1.4
the
or
patch.
5 there for
4,000,
Tom.
15,000, 30,000.
And have to see PJs and stuff from the side. It's got to be like 700,000 or 800,000 for Jay. We got $500,000 there in gray that we can see looking down. And blue, of course, are the
Sorry,
big
don't mind
chips.
me.
Those are 25,000 each. Those are the ones that count the
I'm
most.
gonna have to get me some Red Bull over here or something.
But I mean, it's not like Craig is desperate or anything. It's obviously a big hit. You know, you had 1.8 million in the chip.
What?
And now you're
I mean,
at,
no, I was rooting for both you guys.
Yeah, I know. I was rooting for you
Who
too.
everybody's rooting for.
I was rooting for you too, but
I'm just honest.
I didn't say it
Whoa,
though.
whoa, dealer.
I didn't say it though.
700,000.
Oh, you
there
didn't
for
want
Jay.
that.
There's Jared.
That's not a small blind special
Wait,
card.
hold on, don't act yet.
Million, one
Second card
there
or second card off the deck?
for Tom.
His second.
Turn it back on the deck. Yep.
500,000, 600,000 for
back here.
PJ. 2.1, 2.2 million for
These
Ryan.
are big blinds.
Something like that.
3 folds over to Ryan.
Yeah, this is 7. That's 1, 2, 3, 4,
Fold deck.
5. It's a little over
Great.
6.
On the button.
PJ.
Over to PJ in the small blind. PJ makes a call option to Tom in the big blind.
PJ
Texas
flats.
option. And we're going to be heads up. See the flop? Let's see the flop. Flop is ace of diamonds, 10 of hearts, king of diamonds. PJ's first stack.
Well, given the pre-flop lack of action, that flop probably doesn't help anyone much. You don't expect anyone to have an ace. They might have a king.
61,000 is the bet by PJ, 61,000, and Tom's going to make the call.
Either player might have a 10.
61,000 and a call.
Either player might have 2 diamonds in their
Flush
hand.
draw, Tom?
Flush draw.
I don't
You know,
think
or they're
so.
just playing chicken.
So heads up here, let's see the turn card.
No one has anything, but we're going to see who can get the other guy to
Cards
fold.
of 4 of hearts, PJ's first.
shouldn't change anything unless someone picked up a flush draw on hearts.
Gonna build a spot.
PJ bets again.
90,000 is the bets by PJ. Tom's gonna make the call.
So Tom calls fast. I mean, either just I don't believe you and I paired something there, I have a pair, or,
So it's up here.
you know, I have the diamonds. And so I'm just, yep, I got a draw, I call.
Other card is the 9 of hearts. PJ's first stack.
Could be something, could make two
Checks over
pair for
Tom's.
somebody, could make a heart flush, but not likely.
Got ace.
Tom's going to turn over his,
Tom says ace
oh,
7.
just a bad
Two
ace.
pair of aces.
Two pairs.
Tens and fours
Oh, gosh.
for PJ. And PJ's gonna win the pot.
Good buddy wins.
Well, that's your question there, is like, you know,
Scared to get a little value on
heads
that
up play
river.
like that, you know, if you're Tom, should you have
Which one
raised?
was
You
your
got the
other
opponent
card?
just
You got rid of the
limping in.
king.
Yeah,
Was
I
it
did.
was the
you know,
10
you
Yeah,
replaced?
it would have been king 10.
Do you
Would've
want to
flopped
be
two pairs.
raising?
So either way,
Yeah.
I had king
I mean, he
deuce.
flopped top pair.
I
It
was
was a
about to
great
ask
flop for
if
him
you're a
at
local
the
here,
time,
Jared,
you
you're
know,
up in
until PJ hit that 5-outer on the turn.
I had a king deuce.
You know, and that's the reason not to
No
raise,
problem.
is that, you know, I'm sure PJ was never
four.
thinking you have an ace.
Four.
When he flopped the pair of tens, he thought he had the best hand. When he turned two pair, then he was sure he had the best
So you were
hand.
going to bet there. I would have had to call.
And he really expects his opponent to have a king
Thing I did.
or
Yeah, I know.
worse almost every time at that point. So, you know, in that sense, he's
proud of
I mean, if we change that 4 to a 3 and everything else is the same,
34 minutes. This level still 4,000, Andy.
you know, then Tom might have won a good pot
Might have
with
got
PJ
paid.
betting every street or something like that. So, and that's the advantage of his just checking behind. But, you know, the disadvantage is what we see. That, and then if he doesn't flop the ace, what if it just came like king 10-3? Now he has nothing but ace high. His opponent paired the 10.
He was flop.
He's way behind. But when PJ bets into him on the flop, he might think ace high is probably still the best hand. He might lose more chips.
Ryan's gonna raise. 80.
So it puts him in a tough spot where he doesn't know if he's getting bluffed.
80,000 is the total bet. PJ folds. Over to Tom.
So you got to kind of balance those considerations, and you know, who's my opponent? How aggressive is he going to be? How often is he going to bluff? You know, how often if he's bluffing, will he keep bluffing? You know, in other words, when I flop the one ace for top pair, will this guy bluff into me every street because I've showed weakness? You know, that's the kind of questions you have to ask yourself to decide when should I raise that ace 7 pre-flop and when should I just check behind.
They folds and Ryan's gonna win the pot.
7-4 off.
Best hand I've seen too.
All right, 7-4 off. Man,
That's under 33 minutes. Left of this level is 4,000, Andy. 15,000, 30,000 on the blinds. Started with 189 players, down to our final 5. First place today will receive just over 43,000. The HPT main event bracelets and a $3,600 championship package. $15,000, 30,000 on the blinds. Craig's going to be first act. Craig folds over to PJ. PJ's gonna raise.
63.
63,000 is the raise by PJ. 63,000. Extras on Tom in the free seat.
Blinds now 15-30, 63,000 in the cutoff.
Tom folds over to Jay in the small blind. 63,000 is the total bet.
That's more than 10% of Jay's stack. So if he was going to raise, he would want to shove.
You got chips. Come on in.
And
Need some action.
Don't beg for punishment.
Ryan
I wouldn't beg for punishment.
has the chip lead and the defending the big blind and good pot odds. And yeah, don't expect him to be folding a lot.
And Ryan's gonna make the call.
And that's something that PJ should be thinking about when he made that raise, is that I really should not be expecting Ryan to fold here much. You know, Ryan might be calling,
All right, heads up here to the flop.
you know, with 70,
70,
80% of his hands even. He might be playing anything that has any semblance of playability here.
Club is
Because
Jack of Hearts, 8 of Clubs, Jack of Diamonds.
getting a price and I'm the chip leader.
Ryan checks over to PJ. PJ checks as well. Both players check the flop. Let's see the turn card. Turn card is the deuce of spades.
Yeah, if I'm PJ, I think I would have bet that flop with my pretty much my entire range as a basic strategy
Ryan checks over to
decision.
PJ.
The reason not to is if I think, I've got a big hand, I'm never going to fold, and therefore I'm going to show weakness and induce bluffs from an aggressive opponent.
PJ's gonna bet out.
But at this point, with him checking again, you got to bet here.
46,000 is
If
the
PJ
bet by
didn't
PJ.
make a bet, I would say that's horrible, because if I have a good hand, if I'm going to win a big pot, I have to start building the pot. And if I have nothing, it looks like a bluff is pretty likely to work. So, with my opponent checking to me a couple of times, I don't, expect to get a lot of calls here like this.
Ryan's gonna make the call. 46,000 and a call.
I'm just like, what hand is Ryan checking and calling with
Up
here?
Let's see the river
I
card.
mean, 9-10 is one that kind of makes sense.
Card is the 9 of clubs.
Or,
Ryan's first half.
I mean, Ryan could have a hand that he thinks is likely to be ahead that he is just going to check call to induce bluffs himself.
Ryan checks over to PJ.
So if Ryan has an 8, if he had any other pair, if he had a good ace high, and he decided to just call pre-flop with, like an ace queen. He's like, I think I have the best hand, I'll check and induce bluffs. That would be the most sensible thing for Ryan to be playing this way.
Yeah, PJ's gonna bet out.
And now you gotta guess. I guess PJ bluffing again, like you induced a bluff from him on the turn, and he's bluffing again, or did he check behind on the flop because he
89,000
had
is
something
bet by PJ, 89,000.
and he was trapping? But it's another smallish bet. I mean, not overly small, but less than half the pot.
Yeah, Ryan's gonna make the call.
So
See winner?
I think Ryan has a
Shows
hand.
Jack 6 for 3 jacks. Ryan shows 8-7 for 2 pair of jack snakes.
Yeah,
PJ
so
has
Ryan
3
had the
jacks,
hand
and
I
he's
thought
gonna
he
win the
ought
pot.
to have.
Nice
But the
sneaky
thing is,
hand
now that we
there.
know the
Yeah.
cards, it's like
Jack.
PJ would have made a lot more money if he had just bet
Guess
all
I
the
could have
way.
bet the.
He could have
bet
bet
the
that
flop,
flop,
but
and
I
it would
can't
have
put
looked
you on
like
the
he's
eight.
c-betting with just any, with his 100%
That's
of
what
his
I was
range.
hoping.
And he would have gotten
I was
called by the
hoping you
pair
were
of eights.
donating.
And then the deuce wouldn't have changed anything. He would have
Yeah,
gotten
I
called
thought
I'm
you
again.
glad I didn't get nutty.
And so in other words, he
I hope
lost
you
the
were
street
doing
of
good, for
value.
sure.
And of course, he got 2 bets called, but we now know that he probably would have gotten all 3 bets called. And that third bet is always the biggest. If you're betting, whatever X on the flop, well then often your turn bet is about double that, and your river bet's about quadruple.
Under 28 minutes.
So it's like you're betting 50,000, 100,000, 200,000, numbers in those relative ranges, or you're betting 5,000, 10,000, 20,000, or whatever. But it's that last bet, So in other words, if you're only going to get called twice, you're getting like, 1 and 2. So you're getting a total of 3. But if you're going to get called all 3 times, you're getting 1 plus 2 plus 4. You're now getting 7, more than twice as much.
Fold it around to Ryan in the small blind.
So it's important that you get the 3 streets of action, if you can. And since he was the pre-flop raiser, you expect him to c-bet that flop all the time. So that's why he should have bet it there when he flopped gin.
Ryan's gonna raise.
Of course, I also think he should not be open raising with Jack 6 either.
Goes over to Craig in the 1 seat.
If you're open raising with Jack 6, it should be because you're in a spot where you think the blinds are going to fold almost, the vast majority of the time. And as we were discussing earlier, when PJ made that pre-flop raise,
Several
he
times.
should have expected almost no folds from Ryan. So I think his pre-flop raise with the Jack 6 was pretty bad.
Ryan's gonna be first stack.
Now, one thing that'll really differentiate like a great player from the not so great player
90,000 is the bet by Ryan.
is, all of us, if we lose a pot, we tend to start wondering and doubting and thinking, should I have played this hand at all? Should I have played it differently? Like what did I
230 is
do
the raise.
wrong,
By Craig, 230,000 is the raise amount
since
by
I
Ryan.
lost this pot?
Actually, it's gonna be back to Ryan in the
Good players wonder also, like, what did I do wrong when I win the pot? you know, should I have not played this hand? Should I have played it differently? You know, even though I ended up winning. You know, I made 3 jacks and I won and all that.
I
Like,
call.
should I have not played, or should I have played it differently and won more? You know, you should still be questioning yourself on every hand to some extent. I don't mean doubting yourself. I don't mean lacking confidence. But I mean you should be, you know, evaluating what could I have done better. So we got a big pot here, and Craig, you don't see it right now on the graphic, but there is a king on the turn, which obviously just made a straight possible. And Craig's whole stack now is not a lot bigger than this pot. And Ryan is betting, so this is either just an airball bluff, or he has he thinks he has the best hand. You know, whether it's a 10 or something else. I mean, to be honest, Ryan should be bluffing, or he should have at least 3 of a kind. And Craig has a little over 700 in his stack. So he's pushed out the 300. Now he's not called, but he's like, now he's saying, how much left do I have? And it's just like, you know, like 430,000, 425 behind. So he can't raise here really as a bluff.
I'm all in.
I call.
All in, and an immediate call by Ryan.
Uh-oh.
Craig shows 7
Craig
kings. Ryan shows 9-10 for the straight.
Wow.
Wow, so it's 3 kings for
Craig
Craig.
shows pocket kings here.
Inconspicuous.
So, I mean, Ryan had the
Yeah, I
9-10. He had the
couldn't
pair
lay
in
it
the
down.
straight draw,
No,
but a 10
I
was no
Call
good.
and leave myself
I thought you had
alone.
2 pairs.
To take the lead, he needed an 8, a 9, or a
2 or
king.
3 of hearts.
He caught the king, but
One
the
of
good
those.
news for Craig is that he does
Craig has
have
pocket kings here.
8 outs to make a full house and win this pot. And so Craig is either going to be out in 5th, or he's going to be the chip leader again.
9 of hearts. Ryan currently has the straight and is currently the lead. Craig's tournament life is at risk.
2 or 3 of hearts.
Board's going to have to pair here, or Craig's going to leave us
Or a 10 for a chop.
in 5th place.
10 is a choppy chop.
See the river card? River card is the 8 of spades.
Yeah,
Craig's going to leave
got
us
there twice.
Give him a round of applause.
Thought the pair in a straight draw, and you made the straight twice, and that's it. Well, congratulations, Craig, on 5th place on another HPT final table. I know he doesn't really care at this point about you know, $8,000, or I'm sorry, $9,800 that he got for 5th. And that, yeah, I mean, if the 8 comes on
got
the
all the
turn,
pros out now,
Craig
bunch of
can
amateurs.
maybe get away from the hand. He can decide to probably
Yeah.
We still got 2 champions.
give up
though.
on one
We
pair,
still got
even
2
an overpair.
champions.
But
Talking about
with the
Oh,
set,
yeah.
HPT.
No, they don't.
it just guaranteed that he really wasn't going to get away from the hand. And even if he had just
You know,
called on the turn, I don't know that he
I
really
Gotta
think,
make it fun.
correctly
I think
folded.
we're the two with under 100K
Yeah,
in
the
career,
straight's still out
right?
there, but
Yeah,
8 on
I
the
know.
river doesn't change anything at that point.
Right?
You know, or if it, you know,
Yeah,
You're under 100K in
like
career?
he's still,
no, I do not.
you know,
Under,
he's
right?
all 2 pair
got
hands and 3 of a kind.
114
Oh,
hands.
it's
The
a
guy
little
has to
lower,
have
right?
his hand beat.
$14.
So,
$114?
I don't think it would have been any different for Craig to
Really?
just flat the turn, and then
How much
you know,
is
it's
in
not
the
like he
blind?
should be folding the river at that point.
Jeez.
You have to have an amazing read on that player to be that sure that, like, oh, I know he has the straight, but he only bet 300,000, and that gives me the right price to draw to the full house. You know, that's just too strong of a read
have
for
one
you to really
dinner
be able to
before.
do that. So, congrats, well done, another final
Yeah.
table, but that was a disappointing return from the break for Craig. He goes from chip leader,
That was surprising.
5-handed, to out in 5th. With at least a couple of very unlucky hands. His queen's losing to the king-jack of PJ, and now his king's getting beat by the 9-10 of Ryan. And we don't know that other 3rd big pot. We didn't see his hand where he called down, but I'm sure that was also a strong hand as well. So, you know, just 3 unlucky hands, bam, 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 in a short period of time. So, very unfortunate.
Down for,
Maybe they'll
It was.
send him back here and he can do some commentary with me if he wants. Though if I'm him, I'm not going to blame him if he doesn't really want to.
That's the problem.
Yeah, he was running over the table.
You get a lot of good hands.
Yeah.
Dude,
That's usually what
hey, I stripped his badge, man.
Can we scoot over?
Okay.
Just trying to make you guys
Stripped
some
his
money.
badge. I
That's
stripped
all I'm
his
trying to do,
badge.
make you some money.
I stripped his badge in his
The more
luck
people I knock
chamber.
out, the more money you make.
Right.
That's it.
Keep doing it, bro. Keep doing it.
I'm not mad at somebody who knocks me out. I'm like, thank you for the pay jump.
Want to move to the 6 right here?
Okay.
It makes it easier for them on editing too.
Okay.
Because you guys are so close together. Everyone's in every shot.
You may move around the
No,
other
no,
side?
No.
no, you're good. You two are actually good.
Oh,
Yeah, we
Moving
can't.
Ryan
Yeah,
over
we're
and
taking a
TJ
little
over
time
to
here. We're
showdowns.
like readjusting the players because they were all like 1, 2, 3, 4, and they wanted a little more space.
6 and TJ's going to the 1.
It's funny. I was just checking on the Bravo
Get some leg room.
website.
stretch it on it.
Here on a Monday, we got 3 cash games going.
If you guys can
Here
slide
at
it
the
there,
North
we
Star
can
Vicksburg, we got a 210 spread limit
fine.
as them. So I'm guessing
I thought
that's
they
like
were
$1 and
using
$2
cameras. I
blinds,
thought
and
we
then
were
you
just
can-
sitting
It's
here.
not really no limit, but you can
every
bet
once in a while.
any number between 2 and 10. And
Who y'all gonna let
range,
out the cards now that he's gone?
Greg's payout was
gonna
but
throw
there's
some-
1-3 no limit, so that's true no limit. 10,
Still getting
25,
he was still getting a
PRO,
hand.
the wait list. So, I mean, huge game, and like I said, I've heard about them playing this huge wild action PLO game.
He's folding better hands.
something to do
better
here at this
hands
casino.
than my team.
And Bet Slick is in that
Once we
game.
take the next break and get to this level, we can
Oh, thanks.
Excuse me.
That's just the blue one. It'll make all the difference.
Ryan's having trouble managing. He's got so
Where
many
all those
chips
chips
there.
from?
Oh,
Poker Pro.
I think I played really bad.
Took them from
I don't think
Pro.
I got maximum value for some of my hands.
I beg to differ,
Button's correct. Button's correct. Would be 1 big. That's
So with 4 players left, everyone here gets at least,
Oh, Greg.
we'll just round it up a little bit to 13,000.
Where are you from?
big blind this hand.
How's that,
30,000
Greg? Him and
in the
Greg
1,
must
so good.
traveling
So these
together.
guys are going to win between 13 and 43,000 now. So they've all locked up a nice payday, but still, 30,000. The bulk of the money is still there to be won or lost.
This is ugly as hell.
So we got PJ is the big blind by himself. Craig would have been the small blind, so we have a dead small. Ryan's on the button.
Over to Ryan. 65,000 is the bet.
Ryan's obviously in an amazing position here to win his second
Ryan's gonna make the call.
HPT main event this year and vault himself to the top
Be nice to me,
the
Tom. Don't rob me.
Player of the Year
I knew you were
rankings.
gonna call.
So I can try to find that out for you here. Player of the Year. Current season, we got
Club history of clubs, ace of spades.
Ryan is in 6th place with 120, but he is, if he wins this, he's going to have 220, which will put him in first.
70,000. Actions over to Ryan.
For 4th place, he gets 50 points, which puts him in. So he's already our current leader in the Player of the Year race. Even if he gets knocked out next and 4th, he'll have 170 points, which will put him ahead of Aaron Thomas, who is currently at 160. And no one else on this list is at this final table anymore. Craig Casino is on that. He's 10th on the list with 105, but now he's going to have 150, and he'll move up. Well, he actually has 150.1.
Yeah, Ryan's gonna make the
So
call. 70,000.
he is going to move up into what would have been second, but will now be third behind Ryan Greger,
Card is a 7 of diamonds
wherever Ryan finishes.
on his first act.
So this is a great Player of the Year point total day for those two guys. No matter what else happens.
95, right? Yep. 95,000 is the bet by Tom. Actions over to Ryan.
So Ryan now has like over half the chips four-handed. And he's probably the most experienced and most talented player of the 4 as well. And I don't know the other 3 well enough to say that with absolute certainty, but That would be my current opinion.
Ryan's gonna fold, and Tom is gonna take down the pot.
So I get to
Nice
know those
hand,
other
Tom.
players better.
Fold?
Man,
Yeah, I kind of feel like I think Tom is going to open
I
up
would
a
love
lot
to see
now.
the
We're
river.
Show the
down to
river.
4.
Sorry.
You know, there's no real short
right,
stack at
huh?
the moment.
Sorry.
You know, so it's not like, you know, I'm waiting for that guy who has very few chips to get it all in.
To see the river, you gotta play all the way to it.
You know, in other words, a lot of the ICM is kind of going away at the moment because one of the things that can be what we call an ICM disaster is something like,
How much do I owe?
you know, if we had 2 players right now that each had like about 40% of the chips, and then the other 2 players only had like 10% each. If you're the 2 big stacks and you get it all in, you know, whichever one of you doesn't have essentially the nuts is probably made a big mistake because, you know, going from tied for first to out in 4th place, you know, with that big of a stack, with those other 2 stacks being so short, you know, you really need to be more than just what you think a small favorite. You need to consider yourself a huge favorite to correctly, you know, be putting all your chips in.
PJ in the small blind.
But
PJ's gonna raise.
no one here has a really short stack,
280,000. X is over 2.
so it's not
Tom in
like
the big blind.
if I'm,
Thousands the total bet.
you know, one of these guys right now.
And Tom's gonna make the call.
You know, if I have a hand that I think is slightly favorite, then it's probably the fact that, you know, that we're at the final table isn't going to change it that
Ryan
much.
heads up here to the flop. Let's see the flop.
You know, the chip count math and the money math are more aligned because there aren't a bunch of short
Flop is
stacks.
Ace of diamonds. Ace of clubs, king of diamonds. PJ's first stack. 65,000 is the bet by PJ. She's over to Tom in the 3 seat. 65,000 is the bet.
What are those 2 cards? What are
Ace of
those?
diamonds.
That's
Ace of
what's the
clubs,
other? That's an
king of
ace
diamonds.
and a king.
Tom's gonna fold, and PJ is gonna
Just
take
want to
down
know
the
what they
pot.
call.
Woo!
Ooh,
Anyone else drinks while she's here?
Now that's a flop.
PJ shows us the diamonds. 9 of diamonds.
nice.
Top pair with flush draw.
Really?
Anyone else drinks while she's here?
Not flush draw, sir.
Not flush draw.
There's a big difference.
Big.
That is a flop.
I wasn't even in that neighborhood.
Well, PJ a lot more
Flop.
talkative now than he was early. Of course, since he went from
I
big
should've
stack
checked
to short
if you
stack
could go
pretty
all
quick
in.
at the beginning, no
Oh yeah, I
surprise.
knew
felt that
exactly what I was
happen.
going to do.
I
A
know.
term in the poker world called
Yeah,
chirping
8-9,
chips.
I
So
had 7,
if you
8.
say that someone
7-8
has chirping chips, that means he's
Well.
just won extra chips, and now that he has all those extra chips and has been winning, he starts talking or
Yeah,
chirping.
I'm not sure what I had now.
And I'm probably
good.
just as guilty of that as anyone. You know, if I've been losing
deuce
and
three.
dealt lots of bad cards, I'm probably
It's not like
quieter.
you get my hands on.
That deuce 3 of
And
clubs.
then I'm going to be a little more extroverted when I've been playing hands and winning them.
I was thinking, what was Flick do?
Let you all in.
It's a real term, and it really does apply to a lot of us. I mean, I don't really get emotional about it, but you know, it's just not as much fun. You know, when you're sitting back and folding, or when you're fold, lose, fold, lose.
Tom folds out of the
Trade
You know,
talk
you're not
with
as
folds out of the small blind. X is over to Jay now in the big blind.
likely to be as upbeat and extroverted, so you're not going to be as involved and talkative.
Jay's
Fuck
gonna
it,
fold,
fuck
and
a
PJ
minute.
is gonna take down the pot.
One card.
So
One
I guess
card.
Tom and
No,
PJ
you
look
beat
like
my
they're
three?
getting more aggressive, and
I had to do 3 off.
Ryan,
See?
My coach
You already
would
had
not
one of
be
my
proud
outs.
of me if I did that.
You already had one of them out.
you know, I think Ryan's playing his cards as much as he's playing
Hard to call with a
anything else
3 in
right
my
now.
hand.
So I think when we see him get more active, it's because he
Playing a
has
good player,
hands that he
one-carded.
considers playable as opposed to a situation that he thinks is more playable. And Jay just being really tight most of the time. We, you know, haven't seen Jay turn over, you know, what I call a speculative hand. You know, certainly like if I'm PJ right now and I look down at 8-7 suited, I don't
PJ's gonna
consider
be
that
the 1 seat. She's gonna raise
to be a
85,000.
bad play. In other words,
5,000 is the raise, and Tom's gonna make the call.
make it 85 with 7-8 of hearts. Definitely a correct move, but it's a speculative hand. It's not a hand
Ship it there,
that
Jay.
you think is the best
Terrible.
hand when someone calls you. You
Maybe
figure
another
that you're
wash.
behind,
I just wanted to get down
and the
heads
question
up.
is, can you outplay them or can you hit a big
Get
flop
there.
and get paid?
Ryan folds.
You can get it there.
Heads up. To the flop, 85,000 and a call.
But we have not seen Jay, to my recollection,
Let's see the flop.
turn over any such hands.
Flop is 6 of clubs, king of hearts, 8 of spades. TJ's first. He checks over to Tom. Tom checks as well. Both players check the flop. See the rip by the turn card.
No C-bet. That's
Turn
interesting.
card is the 6 of spades.
I
TJ's
expect
going to be first at.
PJ to actually have something, but not a huge hand. Well, no, he did check the 3 jacks.
90,000 is a bet. Tom folds, and PJ is going to win the pot.
So maybe he does have a huge hand. Might have flopped a set. Or at least like ace-king for top pair, top kicker, something like that. He might
I
have.
am.
Or he might have had this the marginal
Almost
hand,
have to
like
tip these
pocket
guys
nines
now,
or ace
yeah.
queen that is kind of like, you
There
know,
will be
if I bet
time.
and you don't fold, then you might have me beat. If I check, I might induce you to bluff
will
with a
be.
worse hand. Still 1530 with a 4,000 ante. And next level, it's going to be 5K ante, so we'll get rid of all the orange chips at that point. And you're going to see nothing but blue and gray. So we'll have a little civil war of poker chips going on
Just
here.
over 13 minutes left at this level. 4,000, 80, 15,000, 30,000. Thomas first ask. He folds over to Jay on the button. Jay folds. Action's on Ryan in the small blind.
A little raise in there. You got all the chips.
Ryan's going to make the call option. PJ in the big blind. PJ's going to raise it up to a total bet of
100.
100,000 is
Excuse me?
the total bet. Total bet 100,000. Action's back to Ryan.
So 70,000 more. A not insubstantial raise, almost a pot.
Ryan folds and PJ is going to take on the pot.
Had a big hand there.
Look like it.
You're reading my pulse, huh?
Definite chirping chips there. Like now he's talking all the time.
Can't figure out whether it was a good hand or POS hand.
Yeah.
It was big, all right. One or
was
the other.
You can't tell if it's a good hand or a
You'll see it on
POS
TV.
hand. I like that.
Definitely
Never know.
2,000.
I'm looking at 9.5.
They don't show you, you
9-3.
never know.
Oh, dude, you can't give me that much credit.
No, I'm looking at me.
Oh, okay.
King 3. To raises.
15,000, 30,000 of the blind. Jay is going to be first at. Some of the benches. Jay's going to raise.
65.
What is it, 65?
65.
To 65,000. 65,000 is the raise. By Jay, actions over to Ryan on the button.
And just getting announced on Twitter, though, of course, you'll be watching this sometime after the fact. HPT will be going back to Belterra in southeast Indiana, near Cincinnati. And
Ryan's gonna make the call over to PJ now in the
it
small
says here,
blind.
scheduled from November
5,000 is the total
25th
bet. PJ folds.
through December
On the big
5th.
blind.
And you can check hptpoker.com for more information. It'll be there as soon as it's available, the exact
And Tom's
schedule.
gonna make the call as well, 65,000. There'll be 3 players.
Of course,
Flop.
something special this year, the HPT Season Finale Championship event, which will be before Belterra,
Flop is 4 of hearts, 4
will
of
be at
spades.
Thunder Valley near Sacramento, California. And for the first time, we'll feature a buy-in of $2,500. So instead of the typical $1,650 buy-in on the HPT, and then some events like this have $1,100 buy-ins, the season finale this time will be
Jay's all
$2,500.
in. Out of the 4 seats,
Jay is all in for like 400,000 or so.
Action's on Ryan. Jay is all in out of the 4 seat.
4-4 king.
Ryan folds, action's back to Tom.
I call.
Wait, you say call?
Call.
All in and call.
All
Let's
in on the call
go.
here.
Oh my god.
Oh,
4.
wow.
Tom shows.
Tommy.
3 clubs, 4 clubs.
Queen 4 for Tom with trips.
Big blind special.
Big blind special.
Wow,
All
very
in.
unlucky. I mean, you got king queen against
did
queen
flop
4,
queen fours here.
and you flop a king,
Who's
and
currently
you're
the lead?
still way, way,
He
way
has
behind.
queens and 4s with a queen kicker.
You got 2 outs twice,
tournament life.
so not very good.
Is that risk here?
More than 90% for Thomas to win this big pot.
Oh.
Hand
Wow.
putt. There it is.
Spades.
2 outs, and
King's full for Jay.
Don't do it,
I'm
Jay.
sure,
He's now in the lead.
Thomas is thinking this is
Yeah,
ridiculous,
that's
and
it.
Jay is thinking, justice. Like I deserve to
The
win.
remaining 4.
There's 1 out in the deck.
Wait.
2% for Tom.
Fade it.
There's
Cardinals
there's
and
boy.
diamonds, and Jay's gonna double up.
I was like, oh
I
boy.
think we go today. Who knows?
Amazing.
I saw the diamond just as he was rolling it
over.
over. Like, oh god, here it is.
So Jay's
Unbelievable.
instead going to double up, and this is going to put a hurt on
Nice hand,
Tom.
sir.
It's like 400 and change, which is going to leave Tom with like 300 and change in his stack after
Give it to him
this.
nice
So
again.
it's going to make
Appreciate
Tom
that.
very short.
438.
438 is what Jay was all in for. 438,000. You're just that good.
Yeah, closer to 4 left for Tom, but still, I mean, blinds are 15 and 30.
438,000 and a double up for Jay.
He's only got 13 blinds, and there's only 4 players, so the blinds come around fairly quickly. So he will not
That was why
have too
she's
many
staying
hands before
longer.
he wants to be.
Oh, we were already staying. At least got to take her to dinner,
So
right?
many
Yeah.
chips, he's still over there trying to get them like
Already
organized.
got the room. Huh?
He's finally getting them all smoothed
Oh, I've
out.
already eaten it 2 nights in a row.
He's got like
You know what? The
1.4 on the
steakhouse here
base
is
right
really
now.
good.
Yeah, I've had it 2 nights in a row.
So, a little
Somebody
less
said there
than
was some
3
steakhouse
million.
down the road somewhere too.
1.4 on the
No,
base.
Italy is good.
I haven't
America
been.
started
Full
out
stacks
there.
of blues, so that makes it 2.4.
Yeah, I'm on my
Plus, how
side.
many of those blue chips are in his right hand there?
Thanks, Garrett.
Close Monday, Tuesday.
Nice turn card, bro.
5, 6,
You
7.
talk about a good steak, they
that.
got it.
They do have this thing.
Jay's tight play getting rewarded so far. I mean, he got it in horrible, but not. He did get it in bad, but stupid. But he got it. He got it in bad, but not stupid. It wasn't like he was ever supposed to get away from King Queen. Don't know that I like the shove there though with King Queen because it's hard to get called by a worse
Get this
hand.
party started.
The only worse hands that might ever have called him there would have been like a King Jack or a King 10 or something. I mean, but it was going to be hard for someone to call him, with Queens, Jacks, whatever else, or Ace High or anything. So, that's the main problem with his shove. It wasn't that he ran into Queen 4 who got super lucky. It was just that he,
Those new chips to work.
if Tom hadn't hit Queen 4 or something else with a 4 in it, he probably doesn't call.
85,000 was the raise by PJ. Tom had folded, actually still on Jay in the big blind.
Those are Ryan chips, so don't waste them.
Jay's gonna fold and PJ is gonna take that spot.
It's a bad fold, but I'm going to hold on to him for a minute.
Making it
one of
look
those.
easy.
Too easy.
I had one of those.
Too easy.
I promise
Big
you, my
stacks
kicker
just gonna
was
push over.
the best.
Crappier than the queen.
Then I made a nice laydown.
I'd believe that.
Well, best hand I've seen all.
Tournament with 100 and
Oh, you had a great hand. I mean, you got unlucky. That was a beautiful hand.
fourth place today overseas is almost 13,000. First place today just over 43,000. The HPT main event bracelet and the $3,600 championship package. Just under 6 minutes left at this level. 4,000, 15,000, 30,000. PJ's first actor in the 1 seat. 92. 92,000 is the raise by PJ. 92,000. Actually over Tom in the 3 seat. Tom folds over Jay now in the small blind. 92,000 is the total bet. Jay folds over Ryan in the big blind. Ryan folds and PJ is going to take down the pot.
What a waste of an ace.
Saw an ace, right?
PJ definitely getting very
Big ace.
active now,
Big ace.
and appropriately. I mean, he's got a much healthier stack,
seven.
and they're down to 4 players.
Nope, bigger than
and,
that.
you know, got 2 players behind you
An
that
ace
are
eight.
definitely on the tight side. Tom, because he's become so short, he's going to be more of the fold or
Bigger
shove
than that.
variety,
Bigger than
and
that.
Jay has just shown himself to
Can
be
you put my
fairly
chips in the
tight.
pot?
you
Yes,
know,
sir.
quite tight
It's
with the
coming in.
time.
Put the chips in the pot.
Then you got position on Ryan, you know, who is you know, the player who's most likely to play. So
Is the blinds up already?
Tom's going to be first stack.
15 and 30.
Next hand, though.
So it's interesting. I mean, Tom's in there in a raised pot with the Queen 4 suited, but you know, it's like if you're willing to play a hand like Queen 4 suited for a raise, it's like, why are you not,
Ryan's going to make the call option.
you know, willing to like open shove there in a spot where there's a really good chance the other guys are going to fold?
See the flop, let's see the flop. Flop is 6 of diamonds, jack of diamonds, deuce of spades, Ryan's first stack.
I mean, when your cards are suited, that's definitely a big plus. I mean, it's, you know,
He's going to bet out.
I mean, a hand like Queen 4 suited isn't a great hand in any sense, but it's tremendously better than Queen 4 offsuit. And
Hey,
and
got him
certainly when you
back.
have
Nice
strong
hand.
hands, like let's say Ace Queen or
Got
Ace
all of them
Jack or
back.
something, if they're suited, that adds even more value. So there's no doubt it makes a substantial difference. But there's definitely, you know, a not small number of players out there who way overvalue suitedness. In other words, you know, they will fold a hand like Queen 10 offsuit in a spot where they would play a hand like Queen 4 suited. And, you know, that almost certainly has to be a mistake, in my opinion.
2.5 minutes left at this level.
You know, if you're going to be doing that, then you definitely are overvaluing the suited part. So definitely it's a big factor, but be careful not to overvalue it. Action on Jay. See, like now if Jay raises here, I mean, he's going to be given credit for a really good hand. You know, but when you're four-handed, you know, everything else being the same, you should be playing fairly close to 50% of your hands. Like, you know, like,
PJ in the small blind.
you know, certainly on the average, long-term average, 40% or more of your hands. A good way to kind of
PJ's going to raise
estimate like how
to 100,000.
many hands you should be playing is
Come on,
take
man.
the number of players.
Is all in out of the 3-seat actions. Back to PJ now in the 1-seat.
I like that shove with anything. He's got enough cards to make enough chips to make PJ fold. You know, so I think PJ is going to fold here reasonably often, and so I like this shove. Like really, no matter what Tom has, no matter what, if he turns over deuce 7 or whatever, I'm not going to say it wasn't a good play. PJ is not getting 2-1, but he's getting more than 3-2. So he's not going to fold, you know, he's not going to make any hero
That one's
folds.
The other two.
But he certainly is going to have all kinds of hands that he raised with that he can fold, you know, the 10-9 suited and stuff like that.
394,000.
You know, or if he had King 6 and
394,000 is the total bet of what
lots of other hands. But
Tom is all in for. Actually, still currently on PJ in the 1-seat. 394 is the all-in amount.
The other deep was anyway, close.
so the numbers you can see right now in our graphics, they're not 100%
Queen
perfect.
Jack?
It says 418 when it's 394. You know, but they're usually reasonably
You
close.
got come on in.
Huh?
That's what you got. Come on in.
You know, but he has to, you know, call here, you know, like 300,000 more to win 500. So he's, you know, getting a bit of a price. He doesn't have to think he's always, you know, or frequently has the best hand. but he can't intelligently call here with, you know, like the little, you know, the small medium suited connectors or any of that stuff.
BJ shows king of diamonds, 10 of spades.
Oh, well, that one, you know, king
Keep
10,
it
you
low,
need to
bro.
call.
Keep it
Yeah,
low.
I mean, there's
We'll
no
race.
doubt. You're not happy about it because you know it's frequently something like this where you're 60-40 behind or whatever.
BJ shows
But
king of diamonds, 10 of spades. Tom shows ace of diamonds, 4 of clubs. Outside king, big card.
so, you know, both hands played just fine there. I mean, if anything, PJ probably should have just opened shove
Good
with
luck.
king 10.
Low, bro.
All right, Tom is currently in the lead here, but
And
his tournament life is at risk.
Tom probably
BJ
calls
has
with the
king of
ace, and it
diamonds,
doesn't
10 of
change
spades. Tom has
anything.
ace of hearts, 4 of clubs. So let's see the flop. Flop is deuce of clubs, 8 of diamonds, queen of clubs. Tom is still in the lead with his ace high.
No harm there for Tom. There's
See the
runner
turn
runner
card?
draws, but
Current card is the 7 of diamonds. Tom's still in the lead.
he just has to
Just ace
fade
high.
the kings and the tens.
Gonna need to fade a king or a 10. Let's see the river card. River card is a 5 of
Nice
clubs, and
Nice
Tom
hand,
is
Tom.
going to double up here with his ace
Yeah.
high.
Good call, man.
So nice spot, puts him right back into it. You know, 900,000. Average stack is you know, like 1.4 million. So he's still below average, but now he is a threat to anyone. It's like they're not going to want to just play with him for the heck of it to try to knock him out because he can put a big hurt on them.
Yep.
And I said before, like now, let's say
All right, that was
you're
our
at
last game.
one of these final tables.
On this level,
You know,
we're going to be on a quick 10-minute break.
oh, on a break.
10-minute break for a tournament.
I'll talk
They've
about
got
that later when we
4:40, so
come
Carter
back.
Back in the year at 4:50.
And here in the real world, it's 10 minutes. On YouTube, it's probably mere seconds, but we will